Hey guys, it's me, Cliff, and this is a video where we're gonna get a little bit more personal and a little bit more, I don't know, just real. I was working recently and I heard a song come on and I listened to Half Alive a lot, but I don't feel like I'd ever truly heard it until this moment, because as I was working I heard this line come through. It said, "This heart is afraid to beat slowly," and I just felt like that rocked my world because it felt like it completely and fully described like how I feel a lot. And I want to know what you guys think about it too. So, you know, this channel, we're supported by my Patreon. Ad revenue is not a big thing on YouTube, but I'm gonna do a follow-up podcast looking at your comments. I'm gonna post that podcast to my Patreon. It's the Keeping Up with the Comments podcast, and we'll continue the conversation over there if you'd like to support and be part of that. That being said though, link in the description, gotta say that, that's a YouTube thing to say. That being said though, let's jump into this song. I'm just gonna go stanza by stanza and talk it through, because I think this is something that a lot of you will probably also feel as well, especially if you're like me. I'm like what a lot of people would call a high achiever, where I'm doing a lot of different things. I'm working a full-time job, I'm teaching extra classes on the side, I'm writing my dissertation right now. In fact, I just sent in the first draft of chapter 5, which there's only 5 chapters today, and hopefully I'll be defending it and become Dr. Cliff in like less than a month, which would be so cool, right? So I'm working on that. I'm creating this YouTube channel with you lovely people. I'm creating another one. I've got a wife, I've got dogs, I have friends. I'm busy, right? There's a lot of stuff going on. And sometimes I can feel like that weighing on my mental health a little bit. Sometimes I can feel the stress and I know that like, wow, I'm more short-tempered than usual, or wow, I just don't really enjoy any of the jobs I'm doing because I'm just doing too much work and I never have like a break from any of it. And so it becomes this long drawn out, and monotonous is the wrong word because a lot of it is still really exciting, but doing too much of it feels like it takes the joy out of it sometimes. And I think that Josh Taylor and I must be kindred spirits of some kind, or like struggling with the same thing, which I wouldn't have expected because he's a musician and there's these stereotypes about musicians that they're just kind of like chill and laid back. But like if you listen to what he says in this song and other songs, he feels like he's got a lot of pent up stress and he's got like this ambition that he's trying to struggle with. And that's something that I feel too, right? Like when I first started this YouTube channel, I was like, yeah, you know, it'd be pretty cool if we hit 1 million subscribers. And I'll be right up front with you right now, that's never gonna happen. But at the same time, you know, you still kind of think, well, you know, maybe I could make a living off of this one day. And I don't know if that'll happen either. For now, you know, I just wanna have fun and help you guys have a good time. But you have ambition for all these things. There's like these big things you want to accomplish in your life. So we'll get more into that. But here's the lines from verse 1. Life begins to happen when I plan something else. Life begins to happen when I plan something else. So these plans going astray, right? Trying to be somebody, and I feel like we all want that. We all want to become someone recognized, someone loved, someone admired, someone respected. And if you don't feel that way, then you know, we're just different, but that's okay. You know, I feel that like trying to be somebody, but all I got was someone else. So this person I wanted to be and envisioned I would be, and I wasn't able to accomplish that. And I feel like I've been pretty lucky in that I've been able to accomplish some of the things that I wanted to accomplish, but not everything. And I spent a lot of time being frustrated that things don't work out when they should be. I put all the plans together. I thought everything through to a T, and for some reason, these people, and you know, whether it's you know, somebody that I'm submitting a proposal to or somebody I'm trying to get to go in on this plan, they don't recognize the sheer genius of it. And so I'm not who I would be if I was successful in all of those things, right? Surprise, surprise, we're not always successful in everything that we try in life. My plan's always changing, always rearranging. Slow it down, release control, slow and steady, let me know. So instead of living in that hectic rush and hurry, he says, no, slow it down. Life begins to happen when I plan something else, and he just goes back through it again. And then you get the chorus, which is really heavy hitting. The hardest place to be is right where you are, in the space between the finish and the start. It's the arrow in your heart. Now, the arrow in your heart, that's the metaphor that he puts with it. I'm not gonna talk about that. But April and I have been talking about this a lot recently. It's this idea of living in like the liminal, which if I'm remembering correctly what she said, the liminal is like the in-between space. It's where you're not really where you want to be in the end, you're just kind of on your way there maybe. So if I'm saying like, hey, one day I want to have X job, and I'm kind of working towards that. And at one point I felt like I was in a job that was a really good fit, but it was time to move on. And now I'm in kind of a transitional job, or maybe I'm looking for jobs or something, and I'm not right where I want to be, but I'm moving towards it, maybe, but I don't really know if I feel that way, right? Like, does anybody relate to that? Do you guys know what I'm talking about, or is this just complete crap? Like going back to what I said earlier, this is a conversation I've got to talk this through with you guys, and I need to hear from you as well, whether you go listen to the Keeping Up with the Comments podcast or not. Like, I'm going to read your comments. I want to know what you guys have to say. But the hardest place to be is right where you are. A lot of people live in the past or the future. I love C.S. Lewis's writing. He talks about this in the Screwtape Letters. And basically what he's getting at is that a lot of people want to live in the past, the good old days. Remember back then, I was the high school quarterback. I was so awesome. We had such a great time in college, and life sucks now. When we were kids, Tyler Joseph does that in Stressed Out a little bit, right? Or people live in the future, and that's definitely more what I do, where I say, man, one day I'm gonna do this and that, and people will think it's so cool, and I'll be so happy with where I'm at. Like, that's the temptation for me, all right? I'm curious about this too. Like, do you feel like you're living more in the past or more in the future? But the healthiest place to live is in the present. A lot of people say. I don't know. It's hard for me to just be like, yeah, that's exactly the right answer, because I feel like I haven't fully accepted that in my heart, even though I can, like, with my head say that I think it's true. In the space between the finish and the start, it's the middle of the race, the part where you're tired. It's not sexy, it's not glorious, it's just you doing life. Now I'm restless, running from the present. See, he's trying to avoid the present too. I know my mind's been cheating, thinking that I will arrive, like that dreaming about what's coming next. Josh Taylor definitely lives in the future. He's running towards the future from the present. Got to get away from like the averageness and the everydayness of every life, right? And then, where does you get into the bridge. And this is the part that really hit me and that made me hear this song for the first time. I'm fast out and I'm exhausted. Because if you're running from the present, you will get exhausted. I have experienced it. I work so hard and I've been so exhausted. And I know that like I've got to cut down, right? Out of breath, thinking where I went wrong. This heart is afraid to beat slowly, miss a chance at what I could become. I know that I can't run forever, but I can't stand still for too long. This heart is afraid to beat slowly. Man, that resonates with me on such a deep, intense level, guys. I don't even know how to explain this to you. Like, this song feels like it was written about me. If, just as a side note, if you're into Enneagrams at all, I'm an Enneagram type 3, so it all makes sense, right? This heart is afraid to beat slowly, miss a chance at what I could become. Yes, yes, oh my gosh. I don't know what oh my gosh means. But like, I don't know, the way I see the world is that when I was born, I could potentially, in most cases, be anything. I was probably never going to be a world champion bodybuilder. That's just not going to happen. But like anything that I physically or mentally could do, I had as an option. Every time you make a choice, you cut off a bunch of options and you have what's left, right? So every time I make a choice or have to commit to something, it's really difficult for me because I want to be able to do all of these things. And I have all these dreams of what I could become. And I'm not saying this is healthy, right? I'm just saying this is like the go-to for me. And so I feel like this heart is afraid to beat slowly because I feel like if I slow down, I'll miss the chance to be this cool thing I want to do and this cool thing I want to do. And I'm not going to give specific examples. That feels a little bit too personal at this point, but maybe what I'll say is just like, be a super successful, cool YouTuber. That would be awesome. And I have to work really hard to do that. So my heart's beating fast as I'm running the race towards that. And then I say, well, I also want to be a really great professor and researcher. And I'm running towards that. Or, hey, I want to be a really cool administrator and I want to like be innovative and invent stuff. I want to start a small business. I want to do like all these things. And April will attest to this, that I'm describing this and being accurate. Like I have all these dreams for these things I want to be. And at some point, I think we have to just do two things. One, you have to just kind of be content with being who you're going to be. And you can work hard and have a good time. You can't be everything, which is something my heart doesn't believe, but I know is true, right? And then what he says here, this heart is afraid to beat slowly, miss a chance at what I could become. That's the fear. What if I slow down and enjoy life so much that I don't get to be that thing that I want to be? But that thing I want to be, like, would that help me enjoy life, right? Like, that's the kind of question I talk through. And I know that there's some people that are just going to be driven to do more. And I hope that those of us can find, that happiness at the end, that it's not just this thing where as soon as you get there, you're like, well, okay, but what if I go a little bit further? What if I go a little bit further than that? There's like a study that was done that suggests that people who make $70,000 a year are the happiest. And that after you start making more than $70,000 a year, your happiness doesn't really go up the same anymore. But But then once you get to 70,000, people still, they're gonna get to 70, they're gonna be like, well, but what if I had 80? And what if I had 90? And it's just gonna go on and on, right? And so like it's like this trap to an extent. And again, all of this stuff is stuff that my heart doesn't accept yet, that I'm still learning, but that like I think is true. So I'm trying to tame myself, tame my heart, and train it to, I want to keep running forward, but maybe I don't need to be sprinting all the time. And I think that's the thing that this song speaks to me. It hits on that fear, miss a chance at what I could become. This heart is afraid to beat slowly. When you get into the chorus, the hardest place to be is right where you are in the space between the finish and the start. But it's what he says in the pre-chorus that I think is the solution, right? Slow it down, release control, slow and steady, let me know. And that's why the whole Half Alive, now I can't even remember the name of the album. That's the solution, right? Slow down, live in the moment a little bit. And not necessarily just like live in the moment and go binge Netflix, right? This isn't about that. It's not going and watching a bunch of YouTube. It's about living in the moment and saying, being peaceful and meditating or reading or thinking, spending time with friends, like things where you're not living in the past or the future, but you're also not numbing yourself, which I think I use Netflix to numb sometimes, or podcast even, or even music, and just being silent and still and quiet. And that's, again, something that I'm not great at. You shouldn't look to me as an example, but I'm trying. So I don't know. That's a lot of thoughts. This is really personal, so do what you will with it. But again, I would really like to hear what you guys think about it. Like, is this something you've experienced? Is this something you can relate to? And it's a hard job being a YouTuber, right? Part-time YouTuber. So if you want to continue this conversation with me and you don't mind, giving up one coffee a month-ish, my Patreon's linked in the description, and we're gonna have a follow-up conversation in the Keeping Up with the Comments podcast. And then continue the conversation even beyond that over in discussions in the Patreon Facebook group. It's gonna be good. There's really good people over there, and if you want to support this channel and get to know them, it's fun. So that being said, that's the little sales pitch at the end. That's our little advertisement just to keep things going on the financial side. But hopefully that doesn't take away from the things that I'm saying. Hopefully this reaches somebody and you guys say, oh, yeah, me too. Or hopefully not. You're like, no, I've actually achieved happiness. This is perfect. I don't need anything or anybody. Well, you need people, right? But you're like, oh no, I've discovered the secrets of life. If you have, say that too. So anyway, that's what I've got, guys. The last thing I would just say is that if you want to hear more of my personal thoughts on some songs that hit me hard, let me know in the comments. That's the only way that I'll know that you guys aren't just annoyed by this. So thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. Talk to you guys next time.